Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, number one talk in the IE. Thank you very much. And streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Streaker, Spreaker, and more. Why so many places? Well, I want to balance out all the bad news out there, and it is all bad. Every headline now, I used to say most, it is every headline, will lead you into the triple A's: anxious, angry, or afraid, or all three. That's my newest thing. And instead, I want you to feel amazing first thing in the morning. That's why I do my show for the past 703 consecutive weeks. Those of you join me on Tuesday with my 1,500th podcast show with my very special guest, the one and only incredible actress that did the Waltons. She was the mom in the Waltons, all the way to the grandmother of Jeffrey Dahmer on your Netflix special, 1 billion views now. Michael Learned. She was just delightful. If you missed that show, you can get it on my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe and give me the finger, this one, not the other one, you will get an alert every weekday morning to tune in to more hope and happiness. And I'm so glad that you're here today, because it is Friday, when I get a little naughty with my very special series called Straight Talk with myself and
James Hawthorn. James
is former film festival founder, now trainer, fitness expert, and actor. He has been my co-host on Straight Talk for a little while now. We don't celebrate anniversaries here, but I'm going to have to look at some co-host dates, which are the longer. I've not had any relationship last longer than my co-host, so that's why we're talking about what we're talking about today. But we don't want to get. Yeah. So, okay. So, and that's not going to work, y'all, because even though it's called Straight Talk with this series, the funny irony is both of my Straight Talk co-hosts are not straight, but they're still fabulous co-hosts. And welcome back to the show, James Hawthorn.
Speaking of that irony, a friend of mine on Instagram saw the post for the show today, and he's like, he's gay, and he's like, straight talk, ew, gross. And I'm like, if only you knew what we talk about here.
Oh, that's so funny. Let's start with breakfast, because that's how I do this on the show. Instead of doing this MS meaningless scrolling, you are going to top of the bun. Look around. What are you grateful for that's outside of yourself? Bottom of the bun, because I like it on the bottom, even though it's been a while. Maybe I've changed my mind. But the bottom of the bun is looking inside. What do you like about yourself? So that's the good life habit, the weight training, the hashtag Blisscipline. So at night, instead of falling asleep thinking about who done me wrong or what I didn't finish, which usually is a sleepless night, you'll be happy with yourself. And that's why we have breakfast every morning. Let's start with the top of the bun. James, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for a dear friend of mine. Being a baseball fan for 33 years, I've been to every level of championship play. I've seen a league championship, division championship, wild card game. Never been to a World Series game because it's, usually very cost prohibitive. He was kind enough to invite me to Game 4 of the World Series. So I was so kind of him to get me a ticket. and I get to cross a 33-year item off my bucket list. So excited to go. If the Dodgers manage to win the first 3 games, which is possible, not entirely likely, but if they do, not only would it be a World Series game, it could be a potential World Series clinching game. So they will have to, if I go and that happens and they win, they'll probably have to roll me out of there on a stretcher. I am so thrilled. And showtime. Shohei Ohtani is most likely to be the pitcher that game. So to see the unicorn play in a World Series game, I am just over the moon. So incredibly grateful.
Yeah, and I will wiggle my fingers, which are very magical. I get parking spots like that with money in the meter. So I just did that for you to get in there. And as you can tell, and I did not ask him what he was wearing. I never do that with my co-host, and I always match. And this morning, I just thought I would stand up, but I didn't put pants on. This is a Mookie Betts. Let's see if I can do this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mookie Betts shirt, jersey that I got. And James is my docent to the Dodger craziness. My bonus dad, who's 95, and his wife, my former bonus mom, she's on the other side. But I've known them for 17 years, and they were the reason that I started liking baseball. Oh, we got a heart on that. I started liking baseball, but James actually gave me a lot of information, maybe sometimes a little more than I asked for, but he definitely got me into the game in a steroidal way. Actually going to the game and treating me to games. And that's been, I'm so into them now. Like I have a bobblehead collection that I put up for sale, and people are now, they weren't that interested before, but because I consistently have my bobbleheads on the field, because I have Teo, I have Yamamoto, I have Shohei, I have Mookie, and I have Will. So all 5 of those have been consistently on. So now, the value I put on, I think 480. So I'm getting a lot of interest in that collection. People have wanted me to break it up, and I'm like, nope, not doing it. And I know you're going to go, I don't know if you're actually going to sell it. And that has crossed my mind. We'll see. But I'm grateful for James for helping me understand and get very excited about the game, and about I forgot to put this on do not disturb. And let's see, I'm grateful to James for doing that. I'm grateful for the whole Dodger franchise, because as I have said before, I don't know any sport team that does the valuing of diversity more than the Dodger organization. And I've said that publicly, and I've gotten a chance to meet and interview Tommy Lasorda's wife, and Kershaw and his wife. And it really is truly a great organization, and the way that they mix us all up.
Yeah. Hey, since you showed your jersey, I'm wearing my old Kike Hernandez number 14. Well, the last time he was on the Dodgers, he had 14. He's 8 now. I figure we'll take a minute and do a Melissa Joan Rivers red carpet here. What are they wearing? Who wore it best? And Kike Hernandez, Mr. October, Super Kike, they call him. Career 235 hitter, has hit 300 in like 86 postseason games, which is more than half a season worth of play. He truly is one of the greatest October players of all time. So I'm wearing my Kike jersey in honor of today's Game 1, which starts at 5 p.m. Don't miss it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it before I get to go enjoy jazz, courtesy of someone I just met by accident, #accidentally, last night at the Newport Beach Film Festival closing day. And that's what I'm grateful for. Oh, and Kike is my favorite number, 8, right? 8
Yes.
homophone for good fortune in Chinese. I know you thought I was Swedish, but I am grateful for an amazing. We just closed last night, Newport Beach Film Festival. I'm one of the sponsors for my 9th year in the Chinese Spotlight film. I had an amazing time. People were so gracious. It's always nice being recognized. I was called and introduced as public figure, influencer, celebrity, and it was like I was like looking over my shoulder, but it's so nice to be recognized and for good things. So I am so grateful for that.
I'm going to recognize you. I'm grateful to you for this opportunity to cut my teeth on a video radio show. I've done some hosting before, but never radio, never video. I was a DJ in college, but they never got to see my face. And I got to read a lot of advertisements and didn't get to have free reign of the mic. So this has been incredibly cool and really fun for me to take on a new challenge and to do it with you. We always have such a great time talking about dating,
Whatever.
romance, intimacy, and everything related to it. We're the blind leading the blind, but I do believe we are quite entertaining doing it. Don't take our advice. We're not using it, and we're not exactly knocking it out of the park, which is a little teaser for something we're going to talk about later today. But it's been my honor and privilege, so thank you.
You're welcome. It's my blessing. I guess I can't fire you anymore. But anyway, so let's see. One more thing that I'm grateful for. I am grateful for, the law of attraction and the way that great things happen to me every single day. And I manifest. It's truly amazing. Like I literally 6 weeks ago, I came across some ad for the Newport Beach Jazz Festival, and I thought, oh, I'd like to go to that. And then all this, Catalina Jazz Festival and the Newport Beach, and now I'm being invited to LA Fashion Week things, and there was just so much that I didn't, think about it. And yesterday, I asked a guy to take a video because I'm now newly connected with a fabulous designer. Her name is Beati J Collection. If you haven't looked her up, she's actually one of Elton John's finalists in the style as a fashion designer. And I get to go to Fashion Week with her. I had on her outfit yesterday. I asked a guy to video it, and he did. Of course, I picked the director by accident, and then his friend came over to our talking. Guess who's going to the closing day of the Newport Beach Jazz Hyatt Jazz Series? So that's the way my life works. What cots? What are the chances of that? And I know that I do this by specifically choosing. And now I'm going to go to the bottom of the button and start that off. What is it about me that I like? I love that I have a very strong discipline to focus on things that I like, to pivot away from things that I don't like, and that I believe beyond a shadow of the doubt that the universe is always conspiring for me and you and all 8 billion of us, never against us. And because of that, magic happens all the time.
I like that I'm naturally inclined towards eating healthy foods. For so many of my clients, that's a difficult thing, especially if they were raised where that wasn't, prioritized. It can be really hard. And I sympathize, with them, because there's certain things where if you never grew up that way, it can be really hard to make that change. And it's also a gratitude. I'm grateful to my parents for having me eat healthy, growing up, because for me, I gravitate towards healthy things because I know that they make me feel good. And I want the way I'm going to feel for the hours after that meal more than, any joy that I get from eating something that's not going to make me feel good. I mean, I eat a burger sometimes. I love a good cookie, but ultimately I'm always looking for vegetables, fruit, stuff that's really healthy. And to that end, no, they do not sponsor us. This is just a helpful tip. I'm drinking this 7-Eleven organic cold press juice, and I love it because it's like $3.69, and it's kale, cucumber, spinach, mint, celery, apple, parsley, lemon, and it's delicious. Yeah, I know people are like, oh, I hate green juice, but I challenge you to get one of these and try it. I think it is so tasty, like way more than your typical green juice, and it's like a fraction of the cost. So if you're having trouble eating healthy and making those choices, literally you think 7-Eleven, you think Slurpees, taquitos, and hot dogs. Run in there and get one of these organic cold pressed juices. Give it a shot. I'm really curious if on a future show you come in, you comment, and tell me whether you hated it or whether you liked it. If you're someone who doesn't like it, I bet you'll at least find it tolerable. I think it's fantastic. So just a little helpful PSA, and I like that I gravitate towards that stuff because it just makes life a little easier. So,
before I make sure we cut it at this point, and then send that to them so that you can get them to be a sponsor, but do not include this portion now that I'm going to say, which is I don't like celery and I don't like parsley. So I ain't going to try that, but good on you, James.
It really just tastes like apple and mint, honestly. But
okay, all right, I'll let you believe that. I mean, I believe that you believe that. But I wanted to say a quick shout out to our active. I call it not my peanut gallery, but my cashew gallery. Welcome to Dave Panera. I believe he's a new listener watcher. Nice show. Thank you very much. And from Africa, I love it when he checks in. Jean-Baptiste, he works with Frederick, who was one of my favorite guests on the show, who had his arms chopped off in the Rwandan genocide, and but now he's running rehabilitative centers in Rwanda, and Jean-Baptiste is one of his people. So I'm really grateful that he pops in. I think the time difference is tough, but he does it anyway. So welcome to both of you in the Cashew Gallery. I appreciate my ability to keep going and going and going. This is, we just hit 4.1 million impressions on my YouTube TV channel. It is audio visual, whereas when I'm on KCAA, it is only audio, but we can no longer say you have a face for radio because we do have cameras in the studio. And yeah, all of my co-hosts are very attractive. It was not one of the qualifications, but it just so turned out that way. And I appreciate that no matter if I'm on fumes of sleep, I get up and I do this and I love it. And even if I'm not feeling good at the beginning, before I'm on the air on camera, I feel fabulous when I finish the show. So I appreciate that about me.
I like that I find genuine joy in being helpful, in helping people. I never consider it a burden. I consider it a privilege to be able to help. You could even argue it's almost selfish because I feel so good. It makes my day better. It makes me feel good about me when I can be a value of service, and I love seeking out opportunities to do that, to help people through a situation, or like help them make a connection that's important for their life. It just gives my life so much more meaning and purpose than just living for me and whatever my goals are. And I like that I genuinely enjoy that, and that it doesn't feel like, work or a task or a burden to do so.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's it for breakfast. I hope that you will join me every weekday morning, for 21 or 28 or 30 consecutive days, because this is a good life habit that I want you to have, because life is way too short to continue to be in a state of piss-offedness. And you notice that sound just like went right with the state of being that I want you to avoid, that loud exhaust. It smells and it hurts my ears when people complain. So there you go. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. And now for the topic of the day. It says everything is awesome. And I picked the topic today because there's so much material. It's definitely going into my stand-up routine. It is the good, bad, and the ugly, uglier, or adventures or misadventures in dating. It's also used to be called my extreme new sport called dating. And finally, dating in HD, not high definition, but hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment. And these are all dating stories. They're all real. And James thinks it's a great topic, so I'm sure he's going to be doing the same, changing the names to protect the guilty. But that's what the show's about. If you are not driving right now, please do share yours. We will, again, you'll be anonymous insofar as you don't use the name of that person. And yeah, it's going to be a fun show. So,
no hearts will be saved. No
yeah.
tears will be withheld. This is the savage world of going from the swipe to the date.
Where is my music? I'm gonna do like special music.
Yeah, we need some dramatic background music. We
Yeah,
need to have a score for this.
I do actually. I had it on before when I used to. Here it is. When I used to think that I was actually going to talk about headlines, but bring it to heartlines, like actually say this is the headline and then this is how I look at it. But it was just too difficult. Okay, so isn't that good music for the beginning of and now?
It sure is. You know, my friend who's taking me to the World Series again, he does score.
Uh-oh. He does what?
Oh, get him to do a score for our more dramatic shows, you know?
Yeah. Let's see. We lost you just for a second, and I don't know what that is about. But so why did I pick this topic? Not to bag on my dates, although it will sound like that. But I think it's really important that, and I mentioned law of attraction, and it's not the secret kind of law of attraction where you're focused on material things so much so like the car in the garage or your vision board, but it truly is the pure law of attraction, as Esther and Jerry Hicks brought forth, and Abraham, who says that one of the things that we do to shoot ourselves in the manifestation foot is once we have a contrasting experience. In other words, when we have an experience where you don't like something, right? You have a date, you don't like it because blank, right? Instead of focusing on what you do like, right? Because you just set off every time you have a bad experience with something, you set off a rocket of desire. This is the theory behind it, a rocket of desire to manifest something that you do like, right? But we have a habit of, instead of releasing that and then moving towards what we want, we keep bagging on what we don't like and keep talking about, and then complaining about it. And then, always sending that message of something you don't want instead of what you do want. So I know we're purposely doing that just for the show. I already had a little meditation and I said, okay, we're doing this show to talk about what I don't like, but I don't want that. We're going to talk about how to flip that into what you do want. So that's what today's show is about. Not just bagging, but actually turning towards what you do want.
And perhaps if we share enough stories, if we spill enough tea, we'll notice patterns, things that are actionable that we can change to, improve our chances for success and happiness in dating. And maybe by watching us go through it, it can help all of you that are listening do the same thing so that we don't keep falling into the same traps,
Yeah.
staying insane, right? If you do the same thing over and over and expect different results, you're nuts. So maybe we can break cycles, identify patterns, and get better.
Yep, that's the plan. And I'll just start with why I picked the topic was obviously because I've been swipe or no swiping now. I think I'm in a year and a half now, and I've had probably out of 8,000 swipes. I've had 800 matches. Out of 800 matches, I've had calls and video calls that have led to 36 first dates, 2 second dates, 1 third date, 1 fourth date. So as you can tell, I have not progressed beyond the fourth date in a year, right? Because that one was a year ago. So what I have learned that there are some things that I cannot get over. And one is I know that this show doesn't talk about politics for a reason. And I have strong opinions about it, but I don't air them here because I don't want this show to be the normal show that rants about politics. And with that said, for my personal life, I really don't want to have to argue with someone about a core belief around my politics. That's it, right? So without saying what my politics are, I have learned that I have to ask right off the bat, right? Do you like blank, right? Or do you not like blank? And the reason why I did this is because it's something that people feel very strongly about, and then they try to change your mind, right? And you have every right to do that. And I'm not going to beg on you if you don't agree with me on politics, but I don't want to have that as something that is a constant source of conflict. I mean, there's so much to be conflicted about in a relationship to start with, that something as major as politics and religion, don't want to do it. So what I've learned how to do is put in my first opening a question, and first in my profile now, I've moved it to the very front. That one, I'm allergic to cats. And I'm allergic to, that kind of politics. So what happened last week? I because he lived in Long Beach, and another thing that I love is when somebody laughs at my jokes. If I have to explain my jokes, forget it. And you can sort of get a sense of that on your chatting. So I ask them if they don't offer their number and they're not on an app that you can use video. I say, can I have your number? And I promise not to put it on the bathroom wall. Right? Right. You get it. And if a guy says LOL, okay, that's a good sign. So he did that instead of a bad one who said, you can give me your number. And I'm like, I asked first.
Yeah.
And he comes back with ladies first.
Well, it's nice that he's saying that, but to me that feels like a power play. It's like, just give her the number. Let her reach out when she wants. Like, why you gotta flex? I don't understand that. I don't think that's a good move at all, and it's a little misogynistic even, I would say. So yeah, I'm with you.
That unmatched. So that was one. And then the one who did laugh, I didn't ask the questions because Long Beach and we were free at the same time. We were going to meet for lunch, and he said the magic words. I like, he lived close to 2nd Street, and I said, well, we can go this, or this, and he picked the Asian, right? And I love Asian food, so that was a match. So we went there, and he wasn't necessarily my he was a little short. I like taller men just because my hang up, not theirs. And The look was, he didn't look exactly like his pictures, but close. And then we started talking, and it was a very good conversation. Just like really, he was very alpha, very strong, but also was curious about me, not like the one at brunch who the lady beside came and said, "You're talking too much to him." I think we already talked about that one, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that story. But so went through the whole lunch, James, and it was really, really great. And we, very, we were talking about the second date, and I was actually looking forward to it. And he picks up the check. And then I go, "Oh, I forgot to ask." Usually I get this on the call or the video chat. You're not okay, politically, right?
Right.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, I love him." I was like, "What? Oh yeah." Just like singing the praises and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, OMG. I cannot believe. I mean, it was a good lunch, but I was just like crushed because here I finally meet someone that I feel like, okay, we could go. And he broke a lot of the, educational requirements that I think that I need, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, what did I
That's
learn?
I want to build on that. That's really interesting. I mean, I agree with that, especially in this day and age with how divisive our current leader is and can be. I mean, regardless of how you vote, it's hard to not say the guy's divisive, and you really have to match on your opinion of him as our leader. I feel like I could maybe have friends that are that way, and we just avoid talking about that. But for something as intimate and close as a relationship, dating, I think that's almost like mission impossible. That said, I was surprised recently. I was visiting some friends I hadn't seen in a while, and I would say they hold a lot of Republican values, for example, but they absolutely think that Trump is a disaster. I'm just going to
Okay.
say that.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I purposely did not identify what he was because I don't want to break that rule on the show, and you just did. So we're not talking about which side is which side.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not trying to name call or anything like
Well,
that.
you're making a judgment on one side. So I don't want that.
That's
Okay.
fair. That's fair.
Okay.
The point I'm trying to make then, without being specific or breaking that rule,
Yeah.
is I have no issue getting along with somebody that holds different political values. But when it comes to stuff that is basic human rights and things like that, that to me would be a non-starter. And so so my point is, I guess, to be open-minded with individuals and unpack their beliefs, because one thing doesn't automatically mean the other. So there are people that can have different that might vote differently than you, but that share a lot of your same values and want the same things for their loved ones, their family, and our country. So my advice is to encourage people to unpack it a bit and see where that individual stands on a number of things, because it's not always black and white or clear cut. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay. But it is in a relationship critical, in my view, for me, right?
Yes.
And I think you agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I could get along with somebody that votes differently, but as far as opinions on certain issues, it would be a non-starter.
Yeah. Yeah. So what the change for me now is, before getting started on even a conversation, I say up front, right, that I'm not here to change your mind, but I do know I don't want a difference in this particular area. So if you are fabulous, have a great, a dating life, I hope you meet your match, but I'm not it. So that now has become literally the first thing that is there. The other thing is location. I mean, long distance is just not something that I can overcome, because you can't get to know a person long distance, right? If you know a person already and then they move, that's one thing, right? But and I mean the valley. That's my newest thing, is the valley is so far for me that I do it because of work. The last thing I want. And every guy that I've dated, I warn them. I go, okay, you're in Agora or Calabasas or even Burbank or even the other side, West Covina, right? That's far. and oh no, I had a guy in Texas who says, because I just started, I'm running out of the Bumble and Hinge. Like I do like 2 or 3 swipes and it says, no more available. Please adjust your filters. So I officially, I mean, and it happens like every day. Like I run out before I run out of likes. So now I started Facebook dating, and I have to admit there's quite a few, and I automatically put, this is another thing I've learned, spiritual. I have to have somebody spiritual. I didn't put that before, right? I thought, Christian or Buddhist, but I I didn't realize how strongly I put that as an importance. Meditation, law of attraction, all of these things are core that I didn't realize were that core. So there's another one.
Mine would be, but mine, I understand that for sure. Because you're kind of going on a journey together, and you want somebody that, wants to look a little bit deeper, look within, look without, and see more than just, themselves going through this journey known as life. I get that. And, well, one thing for me, I guess a more recent one is I went on this fabulous date, and, we went on a great hike. We had a great lunch. We were getting along so well. And he said, "Can't wait to see you." We both had short trips and we were going to get together. And he seemed very genuine about wanting to do it. And then I get back and he just totally disappeared. I don't know if he met somebody else or work got crazy or who knows. It's not for me to speculate, but it was very disappointing to hear somebody say one thing and then do the exact opposite. And it just kind of, so for me, disingenuine words. If you don't mean it, don't say it. If you're not sure, don't speak it with conviction. I mean, I think we owe it to each other to let the other person know where they stand. And you can do it with grace and kindness. You can be direct without being blunt and mean. And I don't have any place for people that say the convenient thing rather than the true thing. And so if I detect that sort of behavior, for me, that's really a non-starter for me.
Now, it is possible, and I'll use your example as a perfect example on when that happens, and you want someone more genuine and someone who communicates instead of ghosts, so that you at least know why, even if it is something you don't want to hear. Then it's important to turn into this is what I want. I want a guy who is honest with me, even if it is a difficult conversation, right?
Yes,
That
absolutely.
is really what I wouldn't say he was disgenuine, because he really may have felt at that time that that's what he wanted to do. But for whatever reason, there's been a change. And what you want is someone who will communicate, right? Because you don't really know if he was genuine or not, is my point, right?
That's a very good point. That's a good take on it, because as you were saying that, I thought to myself, I am being a little reactive there. I'm taking my feelings of disappointment and hurt and saying, okay, this is a quality I don't want, rather than, simply saying, yes, I am disappointed and hurt by it, but I don't know enough about that individual to say he possesses or doesn't possess that quality. But moving forward, I know that I want somebody who, keeps their promises, says what they mean, things like that.
Okay. I still it's not that I'm going to go with he did mean it then. But from that point until this point, something happened that if he had communicated it to you, right, that's a
Yes.
different quality. That's not disingenuous. That is, he was forever. And there's a lot of people who ghost because they don't want to have a difficult conversation. They
Yes.
don't want to make that person feel bad. And that's why. It's not that they're disingenuous. I'm not saying that he is or he isn't, but your job is to go, I want a guy who will tell me, right? And not ghost, will tell me whatever it is, however difficult it is. That's a little different
You're
because,
right.
yeah,
That's the quality that I'm really looking for. Somebody
correct.
who's communicative and willing to have a potentially difficult or maybe slightly awkward conversation.
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Helping me hone in on exactly, because law of attraction really only works if you hone in on what you're really looking for. So I see. That's a pretty good coaching. This is
Thank
why she gets
you.
paid the big bucks, folks.
I would love to keep this going because I love getting compliments, but we have to take a quick break for news, weather, traffic, and a word from our sponsor. Don't go away. This is a very great, fun episode. I'm so glad that I picked it. We'll be right back with more. Take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa and our fabulous Friday series called Straight Talk with myself and
James Hawthorn. More moose on the table after this.
We'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in, peace out.
Well, she has been dubbed the Asian Oprah, and she just wants all of us to be happy.
Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, says the most important thing you can choose is choosing to be happy.
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa.
That's the idea for Dr. Marissa Pay's new book called 8 Ways to Be Happy.
Many of us say, I am my own worst critic. Nobody's harder on me than I am. And my response to that is, stop it! Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to be your biggest fan, because if you can't at the end of the day say, I did a good job, who is? We don't have to constantly be angry at the things that are wrong. Why don't we choose to be happy about things that are right? We have the choice. That's our muscle. And life is so amazing if we can see it.
And I ran to get something. Here we go.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, one number one talk in the IE. Thank you very much. AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel, which if you give me the finger and free subscribe, this finger, not the other one, you will get an alert every weekday morning to tune into the show about hope and happiness, now in its 703rd consecutive week. 1,500 podcast shows has been passed and 4.1 million impressions on the channel. So glad that you're here. We've got an active chat this morning because we're talking about dating disasters, I guess. No, dating lessons in dating or adventures in dating land. And we've had a great time talking about this so far. And we have some contrary opinions here, which I always love when you offer up stuff. So, Leo, welcome to the show again. He pops in every once in a while. Politics in a profile is a turnoff. Better to discover how much it impacts. And that is, I hear you. Seems very important to many these days. Well, yeah, I think James mentioned earlier that it's more and more divisive, which is why I don't talk about it on this show specifically. However, as I mentioned earlier, in a personal relationship, I don't want to have to waste time discovering this later. And that's just because for me, time is my most valuable resource. It has an expiration date. There's no do-overs. It's non-renewable energy. Once I've had an hour with someone, I can't get that hour back. And if that hour was getting to know someone and liking them, but then in the very end of the date, they go on about their politics and how stupid I am for not thinking like them. They may not say it that way, but in their expression, the more vehement you are about what you believe, the less likely you're going to allow me to believe what I want to believe. I don't mind if people are a different religion or a different politic. If you allow me the space to have mine, but I have yet to meet, Leo, anyone who feels super strong about their politics or super strong about their religion who has not tried to convince the other person to change their mind. If you have someone like that, please send them over. Then I will change my mind. But that is my premise for why it is so important for me right off the bat to say I am allergic to cats. I am allergic to blank. Okay. And I can't do, valley driving. I can't, it's too far or long distance before we even meet to get to know each other. So that's what works for me. And so Leo, I think I understand what you're saying. You don't want to have to be that divisive right off the bat. But on the other hand, if you're not distinguishing right off the bat on things that are deal breakers, you got time for, I won't say pussyfooting around because that sounds a little judgmental. But if you have time to go all the way around the bush, I shouldn't have said that either. But anyways.
I'm going to play a little devil's advocate or Leo's advocate, as it were.
Okay.
I focus on what he said about impact. I know a lot of people who are pretty apolitical. It's just not something that's part of their daily lives. It doesn't occupy head and heart space for them. They focus on their immediate locus of control. And, if somebody doesn't really align with me or agree with me, but they're not politically inclined very much, I think I could live with that if there's all this other good and they don't want to really engage in much discourse about it. And they don't really feel strongly one way or the other, even if they don't, agree with me. I think I could roll with that. So I think impact, the impact part of Leo's point is what really stands out to me.
Okay. So when someone says they're apolitical, and if they really are apolitical, I agree with you both. But I have yet to meet anyone who says they are apolitical, who don't have a leaning one way or the other, and then they try to talk me into that leaning, even if it is a leaning about being apolitical. Hey, I'm a show that doesn't even talk about it, so I think I'm pretty out there as far as that is already. I'm the only show that does it, which is why they didn't think I'd last a year. 13 and a half years later, I'm still here, and I'm adamant about that rule. But at the same time, at home, I do want to be able to talk about, politics at home, right? So apolitical to me is also not something I want. I don't want to not talk about it at home. I have to talk about it a little bit, right? But anyway, so I agree to disagree on that one.
I'm going to offer one.
Yeah.
There's pluses and minuses to this. Some of my best dates have been where, you meet the person
Oh,
and
thank you. Hold on one second. Thank you, Leo. He's happy that it's in the profile for the time factor. So he gets my thinking. Thank you, Leo. Okay.
Some of my best dates are when, it starts with maybe just a coffee or a lunch, and then you're getting along so well that it ends up being the whole day. And some of those dates are just so magical because you realize you just love spending time together and you feel so good being with that person. And some of my best dating experiences have started that way. So I love looking for those experiences and relishing them. And then the words of caution following up with that is you just don't want to do that, day after day, 4 days a week. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. I believe in nurturing and maintaining your independence. And then, one day a week, you can have that whole day experience together, meet for a quick this or quick that along the way.
Quickie.
Whatever it might be, or just a dinner and you get back to your life. But I tend to, gravitate towards people where we have that magical date experience that it lasts all day and we don't want to say goodbye. But then I also think it's important not to overexpose too early. And I've certainly been on the erring side of saying, I want more. That was great. Give me more. And then I've also been on the receiving side of that, where I love that the person's that enthusiastic, but I also don't want it to turn into something that could start to be sort of codependency or where you're doing everything together. I think there's a balance there, but I certainly look for and love those experiences where you're just swept off your feet and a coffee turns into a whole day of just magic. Because then I think you've identified somebody and something special.
Yeah. You're exposed. When you said exposed, I'm thinking of the trench coat exposed. Sorry, that's why I was laughing. Not at you.
It is Friday.
It is Friday.
Naughty side.
I get to be a little naughty. Leo's point, I don't want much of it in my true relationship either way, and maybe they do too. Yeah, if you're both apolitical, it's a match, right? If you're truly both apolitical and you don't want to talk about it, that's a great match. So I on the vein that you're talking about, another thing that I've learned, I did have a great date video chat. We talked, it was one of those, like you said, started 5 minutes, and next thing you know, it was almost 2 hours. And this is something that I've learned. I was very happy, made plans to have a coffee. And then he had wanted to go to Agape. He's never been there and he's always wanted to go. And I did something that I've learned from, which is I projected right into that, it's $50 for a $5 move, right? Where when you were young, maybe you've had butterflies with someone and you started writing your name with their last name, that old fashioned, jumping right in when you don't really know that person that well, and projecting in the other way, and unfortunately I did that, and I was very I had learned that I had thought I wanted an alpha man, and he clearly was not an alpha man. He was more of a beta man, or whatever they want to call it, where he or I'm very on an Enneagram. I don't know if you know that personality thing. I'm an 8. I'm a high achiever. He's a 9, which is, take everything sort of thing. And I've learned that even though alpha is strong And I think I want that. Maybe I don't want an alpha because the last alpha I went to not only ordered for me, he didn't ask when the waiter came back if I wanted anything else. He didn't want anything else. So it was like, no. And he didn't even ask me. So I think I told you about that one where I went, okay, do I really want an alpha man? And then I met this guy and he's not an alpha man and everything was great. And then I asked him, so what did you think about agape? And he's like, oh, I'm processing it, but I will get back to you. And I was like really honest too. I said, I think I moved this one a little too quickly. And so we both got a little carried away. And he goes, I will get back to you. Right. After I've had time to process, which is great. And he said he would do it by this time. That time comes and goes the next day, sorry, I didn't get back to you, but I had this, and this going, and I'll get back to you by this time. Time comes and goes. And nothing drives me more batty than that. Nothing. Because of who I am. And I know that about me, and it's not good or bad. It just is. And I'm not changing that. I don't like it. And I don't tolerate people who say that, right? I'll text you back or blah, 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 or make a date and cancel. And I went, thank you very much. You've shown me something that I cannot live with. So good luck. Right. And that was it.
I think we both have established that clear communication is very important to us, and and keeping your word on communication is important. And
yeah, he's a good communicator. Let's be really specific again about what I want. He's a great communicator, but I want someone who is, now it's flip side. Now I'm saying I want someone who commits to what he's saying. So it's different, right? He's a great communicator because he says what he feels. This is why, just saying I want someone with good communication is not enough these days. You got to be specific, right?
Yes, you do. And I think, kind of as we're getting in the last few minutes here, I'll kind of turn it into a final word. Setting intentions is so, important for what you want. We talked about you wanting to do it with politics because you don't want to have that argument. And for me, my disappointment sometimes with dating is, I'm excited to meet that person and I want to find somebody that is available to date. And I think both of us have this excitement for meeting another person, having that interaction. But then I'll find out it'll be a great date. But then I'll find out that they're still getting over an ex and they're not really in a place to date. It's almost like they wanted to meet for the chance of physical intimacy, but they can't offer more than that. And I think it's important for me at the outset to say, listen, I'm really looking for somebody that wants to date, that is ready, open to, and seeking relationship. And so, setting that intention from the outset is something that I want to work on doing, a better job with, rather than having a couple dates, maybe a fun physical fling, and then ultimately being disappointed because they communicate, to their credit at least, that they are not willing and able to offer that. So intention, setting that intention. And then if you don't get what you want, as you said, putting it in a proactive, positive way so that you're using the law of attraction in your favor.
Yeah. And I think that both of us take it too personally, my final word, because you don't know what their intentions are. They don't know what their intentions are. You don't know what your intentions are. And the only way to know is to get together, start talking, get together and see if there's a match. That's all it is. They're not bad. They're not, wrong. You're not bad. You're not wrong. But, they're just not that into you. You're not that into them. There's no match. That's it. It's not personal. So this is where I and you have to be saying, it is important for us to say what we like, but that doesn't guarantee, right? You can't know these things until you start interacting with them. And I have to stop the final word myself because we're out of time. But we obviously have to do this again. Let's see. I don't want to leave him out, Leo. We all got to, date with Dodgers. We can agree on that. Well said, James.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best. Oh, sorry. James, take us out.
Go and have the best weekend and week ever.
Bye.